This is Season 2, Episode 12 of the Out of the Minds podcast. I'm Sean Oakley.
And I'm Sam Cooper, sir, the only one appearing in this episode. However, because it's been a while since I played this game, I've no idea what happened. So we'll both get to learn together.
I mean, I've played against this list quite a lot, so I've got a vague idea. Although it must have been a while ago because I know for a fact that Chris has changed one of the ships in it. But to that note, let's jump straight in. And Chris is flying Rebels. He has got Battle of Endor Wedge. He has got Battle of Yavin Luke. He has got Keo with Predator ion missiles and vectored cannons, which he has now changed for Gemma, but we'll see how he goes with this. And he's got Kanan Jarrus in the Ghost with heightened perception, dorsal turret, Ursa Wren, the Child, and Agile Gunner. And for those people that don't know, Kanan's ability is when a ship in your firing arc defends, you may spend one charge. You may spend one force, sorry. If you do, the attacker rolls one less dice. The Child gives him 2 force, so he has a total of 4. He only regens when he defends, and 2 of your ships will get Merciless Pursuit, which means they acquire 3 locks after attacking him.
Yeah.
Dorsal.
Notably, not only defends, he has to take damage.
Yes, okay.
Which
yeah.
normally not an issue on the Ghost, but can be relevant if you whiff.
He has heightened perception, obviously, for I7. Dorsal turret adds an extra arc. Agile Gunner for the free rotate. And Ursa Wren, which is when a friendly ship at range 0 to 3 is target locked, you may perform a lock. Oh, sorry, it's locked by an enemy ship.
Yes.
You may perform a lock action.
No free rebel shenanigans of Ursa Wren.
No. Yeah. It's nasty.
So, I think this says we're playing Savage Mission at the start, but I'm pretty sure this is just chance.
I mean, that does look like chance to me with one objective.
But anyway, onto my list. Regular listeners may recognise this list. It hasn't changed a bit. We've got DGS-047 in the gunship with Diamond Borer missiles and Django Fett crew. DGS-286 with cluster missiles and seismic charges. Pre-Vizsla in the gauntlet with Bo-Katan crew, veteran tailgunner, Mando optics. Volan Das in the Tri-Fighter with elusive and afterburners. And Dirge in the rogue with marksmanship, proton cannons, the Xanadu blood title, and proton bombs. Notably, I have given the Merciless Pursuit conditions to both Dirge and Volan, and because I couldn't be bothered to find my little icon tokens, and I think Chris gave them to me, but I was like, no, I've got little Grogu 3D printed models, so they're going to be put next to my boys.
Nice.
And well, we're playing Chance.
So, I'm curious about your decision to put Merciless Pursuit on Volan.
Basically, my thought here with Volan is that Vizsla's if I'm shooting into Kanan, Vizsla's getting locks in system phase, so it doesn't need it. The gunships don't really care. So Dirge wants it because he just wants to get a lock after he fires the proton cannon. And Volan, I put it on him because I was like, if he ever shoots the Ghost, I just want to get a free lock.
Fair. Like, if I was flying your list, I would not stick my 3 health ship anywhere near that Ghost, but that's fair.
Well, my thought with Volan is that ostensibly Volan should be able to arc dodge. At least the main gun. If Volan's eating a turret shot, he's eating a turret shot.
Fair. So it looks like this is quite easy. You have the finger rock just to the right as Chris is looking at it of the center objective, and then the other 3 circle sort of with a split in the middle, I suppose. A circle on Chris's side, a nice little U with the 3 Pride of Mandalores, and a little sort of circly line on your side. So nice big gaps in the middle.
Yeah. Essentially, we both wanted a giant gap for our large base ship, and I wanted to try and create as many little channels for his small base ships to come through so that Dirge could line up a bullseye. It's pretty straightforward, really. Chris has first player.
Yep.
But my I1 went down first. Now, the problem of... I do not know which of my gunships is the I1.
Okay.
But I placed both... I'll just shorthand this. I placed both gunships just basically one to the slightly left of center of the and one to slightly to the right. So the idea is they're going to slowly roll forwards, and we'll see what happens. But notably, after my I1 gets placed, Keo gets placed, and he goes on Chris's right, about half, like just over halfway up that quadrant, essentially. Chris's right-hand quadrant, as far forward. Looks like he's basically aiming down to go straight and then maybe dive into the center if necessary.
Yes.
And then Kanan goes on Christie's left-hand side, again about halfway into that quadrant, going down, probably aiming to go down and then turn into the gigantic gap, depending on what I have placed in front of him. So in response, I drop Vizsla opposite Kanan, and I drop my other gunship basically on the other side of one of the centers. So I have both my gunships, one to the slightly left of center, one to the slightly right of center, and Vizsla is opposite Kanan, except slightly to the right of him, so I have room to slot Dirge in.
Yeah. So Chris would have placed Luke next.
And Luke is to the right of Kanan. Basically, he's aiming down a channel formed by two of my Proud Mandalore rocks, aiming directly at one of my gunships, basically.
Yeah.
So then Dirge goes down opposite Kanan, and Volan goes down opposite Keo. Because with Kanan and Luke on the one side, and Keo on the far other, I'd be like, okay, if you don't place Wedge to match Volan, then Keo and Volan have a fight. And in theory, Volan should win if I fly well. And if you place Wedge on the other side, that's fine. We're jousting. Then that's just how it has to go.
See, it's interesting because when I saw that up on the screen, my first thought was, why has he placed Wedge so far away? Like, Kanan's not going to be... And then I clocked Volan down there, and I'm like, actually, that's quite clever. Forcing Wedge to be there. I like that. Because you just...
if Wedge does go there, Volan probably does not take that fight in a million years.
No, but at least you're making it harder for Chris.
Wedge is there. Yeah.
Okay.
And then we go, because it's always interesting, because you last week said you've lost a bunch to this sort of list of Chris's.
Yes.
Whereas mine's always close, and I think I've won. I've either won more than I've lost, or like one win, one loss at this point.
So mine have always been close. None of them are generally curve stompings. But because I've been flying Wedge, Luke, Fen, Hull, and Sabine, and the issue I've had is I can't just like throw a wedge at a wedge and a Luke at a Luke because I go down a red dice. I tried just killing the ghost. And with the reinforce, it just takes one turn too many. And then my ships die. Or, my Luke gets hurt, my wedge gets hurt, and then it's my wedge against a full health wedge, blah, blah, blah. And then the one where I tried to put Sabine into block and it, I played badly and screwed up the initial engage. Then our one where we played... a week and a half ago at Incon Gaming literally came down to a first player roll. Because if I'd been first player, I could have blocked and I couldn't. But it's little things like that. It's not. I'm not getting curb stomped by it every time.
Yeah.
I'm just.
Yeah, well, because my point was, I find your list more troublesome than Chris's.
See, that's interesting
because my answer, when I see the ghost, this sort of build, okay, so I burn the ghost. Like, Wedge and Luke are going to see, because Wedge and Luke against my list, you're going to fire your torpedoes whether I want you to or not. So I may as well shoot the guy that can't defend.
What you do have though is a reasonably more chunk of health than I do.
Yes, that is true.
In fact, quite a bit more health than I do. And yes, a lot of it is hull and, the crits will hurt, but it's that extra shot it requires to kill it, or so on and so forth.
I thought that was an interesting observation, is that I find your list harder to deal with than this list. Because, if I shoot something that's not the Kanan, then I'm down dice. So for my obstacle is like, he's reinforced, But if I shoot anything else, like my gunships are 1 dice ships.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
that's
may
fair.
as well roll 2.
And I think I'll continue.
Yeah.
He'll continue to play it, and
Yeah.
maybe it literally is just a case of I've had a little bad luck because we've played like 4 or 5 games in like the last 5 weeks or so,
Yeah.
and it might have just been a case of a little bad luck and a little difficulty. Like
We'll see anyway.
I'm sure.
At least that's my answer anyway, because it's interesting to me that I'm like, well, yeah, you just killed a ghost in this list, and whereas you were like, yes, well, I tried that, but
Yeah.
because the rest of Chris's list is basically yours,
Yeah. Exactly.
the time it takes is enough of a disadvantage. Whereas because it's weird, it's because mine is different and just has I've got more health for less damage, but I have enough damage to kill a ghost over 2 turns.
Yeah, you have.
And I was gonna lose the health anyway.
Also, it's the thing that I think with your list, obviously Vizsla gets an extra dice.
Yeah.
Dirge gets a proton cannon, which is a lot easier to line up against a large
Ghost.
base.
And laughs at reinforce.
And I think that's the thing. Like you've got the 2 big hitters there that do as much damage as Luke and Wedge would.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dirge kicks past the reinforce, which is great. But that combined with the extra health means the damage you take in return isn't as crippling, I suppose.
Yeah.
But
anyway, let's see how this one rolls out. But I just thought that was an interesting point to bring up in the in like list matchups. Is like your list. You seem to have trouble against this list, and I have trouble against your list, but I find this list easier to deal with.
I also think
probably because there's less ships.
Yeah, I also think the flip side, another flip side of that, is my list rolls in at I6, fires 2 APTs, a Pro Torp, and 2 APTs, a Fang Fighter at I6, and then a Pro Torp at I5, and hopefully nukes something.
Yeah.
Whereas Chris just rolls in with the Ghost and heightened perceptions to I7.
Yeah.
And then kills the Y-Wing before it does anything. Whereas your list is kind of designed that I'm going to take a load of shots before I get hit. I'm used to it. That's what they do. That's what the ships can take. So it's not someone shooting before you isn't as damaging, I suppose, as it is.
Yeah, someone shooting before me isn't damaging because everyone's shooting before me.
Yeah. But yeah, let's
see how this goes. And we'll take this play by play because I don't remember the minutiae of this game, and Sean has not seen this game. I think you maybe came in at the end.
I wandered over a few times.
Yeah. But I get first player, and my I1 was to the left of center. There we go. I now know. So I do 1 straight and calculates with both my gunships. Vizsla, I believe, does a 2 straight and focuses, and then I sit here waiting for Chris to get back after he's taking some photos. Dum de dum dum dum. Keo does a 5 straight and evades.
Must have forgotten he doesn't have Duke.
Yeah, and Kanan does a 1 straight and reinforces to the front, which I think was optimistic. Dirge does a 2 straight and focuses. Volan does a 1 hard to the right and barrels in, just in case Wedge has done something crazy.
And Luke and Wedge both,
I believe, has done a 3
4
straight?
They're both
4 straight.
They're both 4 straight.
And they're both focused.
You can tell because Wedge is just behind where Keo is.
Yeah. So next turn is when we start shooting, guys. It's X-Wing.
Yeah. Pretty much, isn't it? Pretty much.
So yeah, like I said, at the very least, my plan has worked. I have forced Wedge to come out to where your Luke was in our previous week, except Wedge doesn't have a proton torpedo, so his range 2 to 3 shots are not quite as nasty.
Yeah, definitely.
Because really, Wedge wants to be where Kanan is.
Yeah.
In this game. So my I1 gunship does a 1 straight and calculates. My I3 gunship, because I have first player again, does a 5 straight and I target lock, and I grab the ghost, I believe.
Yeah. And then I'm guessing.
No! I've grabbed Luke. I've target locked Luke, and I checked range for the ghost just because I was curious. And yes, Ursa tries to target lock me and fails, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I think. Anyway, Vizsla does a 4. I think it's a 3 straight and focus, and the ghost does a 4 straight. Slides past Vizsla. and reinforces the front. So our big boys are trading range 1 shots, and there's nothing we can do about it. I think, unfortunately, I am not straddling, so the reinforce on the front does work against me.
That's a shame.
Keo, I believe, does a 2-bank
And locks?
target locks my I1 gunship. Dirge does a 3 straight and focuses. And I think I'm a little bit sad because I think I'm at range 1 just about. Volan does a 1 hard to the left and focuses and links it into a boost. So now I've got a shot into Keo because where Keo's gone, I'm pretty sure Wedge is also banking in, so I don't have to be as afraid of him.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then Luke banks in towards Dirge and Vizsla and takes a target lock onto Dirge, and Wedge does a 1 bank to the left into the center. And let's see what Chris does. I think he takes a lock, but he might focus.
I was just wondering if he was debating the boost. Yeah, just
looks
takes
like he focuses.
Just takes a focus.
He has range 3 into both my gunships. I spend my he goes into my I1 because Keo also has the shot. I spend my calculate to dodge 1 damage, and I take some shields, I believe. It looks like I think I don't update it until a little later, but I've taken 1 shield. And oh my god, some of the dice here are not visible.
That's fine. This is 5 dice. So who are you throwing
This
range?
Is 5 agility.
Who are you throwing range 3 obstructed? This got to be Volan. Volan into where?
This is Volan into Keo.
Keo. Yeah, 3 obstructed.
Because I have no other. I think I have no other target. I've spent my focus and I do a damage to Keo, which is honestly more than I was expecting.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
Then Dirge is range 1 of Kanan, unfortunately.
That's a shame.
But
takes 3 shields
end
off?
up with I take 3 shields off. I end up with like 2 hits and a crit, and I acquire a lock onto Kanan because woohoo! No, and then to triggers. I don't know what was being measured. I think I was measuring to see if I could lock Kanan, and I couldn't, so I locked Luke with my gunship.
And so he didn't trigger Ursa.
So he didn't trigger it. So Ursa triggers now, and Kanan locks Dirge.
This must be Luke.
This must be Luke into Dirge firing the proton torpedo. And I get blank focus.
Looks like you take 2 shields, a damage,
and a damage,
which is
a
damaged engine. Fair.
Then my 3s get to shoot. So my gunship fires a cluster missile into. Oh no.
Yeah, you did, but I'm guessing he Kanan'd it.
Yes, must have done.
Because he spent the force.
Luke. Yeah.
And then bounce one in, which.
And then I tried to bounce one into Kanan, I believe. I think I've got it. I think we're checking arc. Yeah, I do bounce it into Kanan. I end up with hit focus. I reroll 1 to get hit crits. He cancels 1, so just another shield. And so we're all shields down on Kanan before Vizsla throws a 5 dice hammer.
Nice.
Which is what we come to now.
Looks like it was jumping a bit there, but looks like you only end up with 3.
I end up with 3 after the reinforce because I Bo-Katan'd and spent a focus. So honestly, ending 1 reroll and a focus, and I get 4 results. I'll take that, and I put 3 damage onto Kanan.
And this looks like Kanan into Dirge.
Yep.
That didn't look like a great Kanan into Dirge, although I think he might have done enough to kill you because you're searching through your crits.
Yep, searching through my crits, and I ditched 2 of them, so I have 3. I have 2 health left.
Okay.
I believe in the end.
All right.
So it's not the greatest opening trade, and then Keo shoots into my gunship, and I take another shield, which I believe I catch up on now. So it's not the greatest opening trade, but this was non-proton cannon Dirge, which is just the way it is sometimes.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where I didn't want to risk him going too slow and me not being in range, and then he jumps in. So I was like, well, I'll go 3, and at least I'm guaranteeing shooting happening.
Yeah, I mean, so you've lost 2 shields on a gunship and Dirge is down to 2 health, but you've chunked a load off Kanan.
Yeah, and plinked off Keo, which is always relevant.
In fact, enough that you've got half points on Kanan, right?
Yes, I have half points on Kanan.
Which is effectively a gunship.
Yep. And I think it's half points on Dirge, but I think I killed it on the overlay and then brought it back, so it's given him 4.
No, it hasn't, because it says 3 points.
Oh.
It says 4, 3.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at the wrong ones. Yeah, 4-3.
Yeah.
So I must have done it right. Woohoo! Go me.
I do that all the time. I kill him and then...
So Dirge has obvious moves.
K-turn, right?
5k. And I can't remember what I do with Vizsla. I have a funny feeling I stop.
And rotate?
I think I might rotate, but I'm not 100% sure. Because Luke is right there, so...
It is an issue, isn't it? You can always shoot
Luke's
out the back.
Yeah, and I believe I Mando Optics to get a target lock onto Kanan, which means there are now 2 locks on Kanan, which means my gunships are just that much more effective.
Yeah, yeah.
It looks like I've probably forgotten to trigger my I1 gunship's ability on whoever he shot at, because I'm pretty sure there's definitely someone in my front arc.
Yeah, yeah.
But we roll off, and Chris is first player. So in the system phase, I Mando Optics, and I take a target lock onto Kanan. Kanan opts to target lock Vizsla. And Dirge drops a proton bomb.
Nice.
My I1 gunship does a 3 straight and calculates into the center, and Keo does a
side slip.
Side slip. Side slip.
2 hard
yeah,
side
of course,
slip.
measured out the front. 2 hard side slip. And then boosts back behind my gunship.
Oh, I mean 1 hard. No, 1 hards aren't blue on Volan, are they?
No, it'll
are
be
the 2
hard
hards?
2 bank. I've done 2 hard or 2 bank. The ghost is doing a 4k, lands on my bomb.
Oh, if I was Vizsla, I stop and rotate now. Luke be damned.
I'm pretty sure I've stopped. I think I've just rotate.
I'd rotate.
My I3 gunship 2 hards towards the center where Wedge is, and I take a calculate. Vizsla stops, 180-degree rotate. Luke 2 hards to the right, away from Vizsla, which actually that caught me off guard.
Yeah, okay. I didn't see that coming. I
think he was hoping to catch. I think he was hoping to catch my gunship. Because my I1 gunship came very, very quick into the center.
Yeah, yeah.
I think he wasn't expecting the 4 straight. And so he barrel rolls to the right. I don't think he links it. Dirge does a 5k, which I'm pretty sure is just out of range of Kanan. Volan does a 2 hard and is in a very awkward spot. Because I can't quite barrel roll behind next to Keo. So what I do is I focus and I link it into a boost, just trying to get away from Keo. And I think that was probably a mistake. But I was also trying to line up a shot onto Kanan. Because my thought process was here, like, if I can just kill Kanan, I will accept losing Volan.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then Wedge does a 1 bank, bumps into my I1 gunship, and takes a red focus. No, 2 bank it must be.
Yeah, because I just want to look at that Wedge one again. I think that's a friendly bump. Or at least I think you should have marked the gunship and placed to...
Yeah, I think you might be right there. I just
check
didn't think about it.
I mean, that's fair, but... Yeah, I think I would have marked and made sure.
I think I was doing the overlay, I think, at some point here.
Fair enough.
I wasn't looking, and he was just like, yep, friendly bump. Oh well, is what it is. So he takes a focus.
What's he flashing? Proton bomb.
Proton bomb on...
oh no, the ghost has a structural damage. What a shame.
Yeah, I know, right? But for Volan, it's relevant.
Yeah, fair.
So, Kanan spends a force to heighten perception.
Yep.
And we remove the bomb. I think we just do a quick range measure, and he shoots into Vizsla, I believe. No, is this into Dirge? I can't. Must be into Dirge, range 3.
That means you got the proton cannon then.
If I live, which I don't think I do.
Oh, okay.
Because that is evade blank blank, and Dirge dies.
Fair.
Then this is Wedge shooting Volan, I believe. And I dodge it. Then Luke has options, and he opts to go into my gunship, and he torps it, I believe. No, opts to go into Volan, and then...
I was going to say, that's an instinctive aim torp, right?
I thought, yeah, instinctive aim torp. I thought he pointed at my gunship. I must have got it wrong. I roll evade blank focus. I elusive into something.
And dodge it all.
and spend my focus to dodge it.
It's the problem with
then I
instinctive
shoot-
aim torpedoes, isn't it? Sometimes.
Yeah.
That just
Then I
happens.
roll range 3 obstructed into Kanan, and I put a bunch more damage through.
Yes.
I believe I'll catch up to it in a second. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think at least 6 damage. So Kanan's on 4. And then Volan eats a KO shot and takes a damage, and it takes a loose stabilizer.
That's a little awkward. I mean,
You
just suck and take the damage, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's 50-50, you die.
Yeah. Then I do my gunship into Wedge, this must be into Keo. My I3 gunship into Keo.
No, it was into Wedge, and you've plinked a shield.
Oh, obstructed.
Yeah.
I plinked a shield off Wedge. Then Vizsla shoots into Kanan, and I end up with 2 hits through after the target lock. And so Kanan's on 2, and then my I1 gunship, I believe, goes range 1 into Wedge. I'm assuming here, and he Kanan's it.
Yes. And it looks like you did nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. See, have you still got the lock from Vizsla?
So, no, because that is Volan's lock onto Kanan.
Okay.
Because obviously he shot and then required a lock.
So you Mando Optics.
Spent the lock.
You
Mando Optics.
Because stressed, can't do it back.
Yeah.
And then 2 straight?
I think I 1 bank.
Oh, see, I think I would have 2 straighted because the ghost can't. The ghost's got to go forward and doesn't have a back art to.
I can't remember what I do exactly.
So it's currently 6-5 in Chris's favour, but that ghost is 2 points away from giving you another 4 points.
Yep. And then obviously Volan's kind of in trouble.
Yeah.
But priority, I win. I system phase, get a target lock onto the ghost. My I1 gunship side slips and takes a calculate to the left. My I3 gunship side slips and takes a calculate, so they're just circling the center. Yeah, I 1 bank with Vizsla. Unfortunately, I don't get to flip the wings back. But I clear the stress. Kanan also does a 2 hard to the left, which is red. No, it's not red. It's white. And Keo does a 3 sloop. Volan does a 2 bank, which did slip past the rock, and I eat the damage. And then I knock it, making it therefore completely ridiculous. But I bump into Kanan and just take the red focus, because if I'm gonna live, it's because I've got a focus. Unfortunately, Luke does like a 1 straight and bumps into a 1 bank and bumps into Volan, and then Wedge does a 1 bank and focus locks Volan, I believe.
Well, Volan's not living.
Volan is not living.
But if you can get those 2 damage off Kanan, that's a trade.
Yeah. But no, for half points to Volan has been given to Chris. And then Volan dies to the I6 shot.
Give him the other half points.
Yeah.
This is where the dice cam stopped working.
Yeah, this is where the dice cam stopped working, and unfortunately we don't have everything. But I shoot all my stuff into Kanan with the gunships, and I believe I plink him off with the gunships. And then the I1 gunship, I think, shoots into Wedge and doesn't really accomplish anything.
You've just killed something, and I'm assuming it's Kanan because Luke's just triggered Hopeful.
Yes.
For a boost.
And unfortunately, didn't quite boost him into Arc of Vizsla. Yeah, so then my gunship shoots. Yeah, so my I3 gunship killed Kanan, and then my I1 gunship just tried to do some damage to Wedge and fails. So it's 11-10 to Chris currently. But Vizsla's basically untouched, and my gunships are kind of doing fine.
Yeah, but also Wedge and Luke are untouched as well.
Yes, Wedge and Luke are currently untouched, but at the same time, I'm actually okay with this because a lot of their munitions are gone.
Yeah.
So my I1 gunship just does a 2 hard to the right, bumps into the back of Wedge and takes a red calculate. Keo does a 2 bank to the left and boosts past my gunship, and my pre-Vizsla does a 1 bank to the right and takes a red reinforce, because I just thought Wedge was coming that way. My I3 gunship does a 2 bank that looks like to the right, bumps into Keo and takes a red calculate. Luke does a 2 hard to the right, circling back onto my gunships, and Wedge does a 1 straight.
Okay.
I think Luke has target locked my I3 gunship,
yes, he has.
and Wedge barrels to the left and stresses for a focus. Shoots at Vizsla, puts 3 damage onto Vizsla, including a fuel leak, and gains an additional focus. And then Luke throws something into my gunship and
Strips the shields?
Strips the shields off my I3 gunship, it looks like, and a single damage. And then what does Keo do? I don't know. I might not have switched over. I feel like Keo should be shooting first, but either way. So then I have a bunch of choices to make. I have targeting priorities because Vizsla does spend the charge, and I believe does go into Wedge, but doesn't do anything. No, I'm going into Luke. I'm going into Luke here. It does go into Luke, and everything then piles into Luke, and I get Luke down to 3 hull left.
Okay.
Because Wedge with double focus, I was like, there's no point, and the gunships can all shoot Luke. You'll have all your force, but at least I'm throwing dice at a 2 agility ship.
Yeah, so there are 3 minutes left on the clock. It's 13:13.
Yes.
Like, the problem is, so you've given up half on DGS 286.
Yeah.
But you're 1 point away from giving up half on
047, which is 1 point.
Which is 1 point. But
because the thing I have going for me is Wedge is stressed.
Yeah.
And as long as Vizsla jumps over Wedge, Wedge probably isn't doing much in this final turn.
Yeah, and if you jump over, because I'm assuming you're 2 straight here, right?
Yeah.
Luke can't do a whole lot to get out of that arc.
Yeah.
If you can plink that last 3 off on Luke, you should win.
Yeah.
Although actually, how close is Vizsla? He's what is he? He's not 11, so you'd have to do.
He's 11,
6.
so he's taken 3, so 3 more will half Vizsla.
That's interesting because that's equivalent of Luke, and then if you just plink that 1 off, it's. Well, here we go.
It's very tight. So I drop a seismic with my I3 gunship because the finger rock is in the center, and basically everyone is here. My I1 gunship just does a 4 straight and calculates because he's 1 point off getting halved, and if I can just get behind Luke, I'm probably safe. I believe Keo, I think, has rotated the turret to the back, does a 2 bank, and then boosts. Yep. My I3 gunship does a 1 straight and calculates, hoping that Luke will just bump into him. And Vizsla does a 2 straight over the top of Wedge and takes a focus. Because again, I'm not sure where everyone's going to be. I'd rather have a focus, and then, you know what? Maybe I deal 3 damage to Wedge at the back. It's doable.
Yeah, that's fair.
Luke does a 4k. And Wedge does a 1 bang and then barrels out of Vizsla's arc, I think. I think doesn't quite make it, but it doesn't matter. I blow up the rock far away from Vizsla and my gunship to try and not give up half, and I don't hit anyone, obviously. Then shooting starts, and I've lost track of where we are.
Because you've been doing some shooting in the background. I've swooped in and taken out the dice cam in real life.
Because it looks like Luke has spent a force to do something.
Yeah. Okay, hang on. Let's just go.
But back. I can't work out who's done what. And I think I updated at the end, but...
Okay, let's just go. Oh, I've gone back too far here. Too far. There's the 4K. Where's Wedge's?
Yeah. 4K has a lock onto my gunship.
There's Wedge out of the way. Yeah. So Wedge is not shooting. So yeah, here's the seismic.
Doesn't hit anyone, but that's fine. I just didn't damage my own ships, which is what I needed.
Yeah. So no Wedge, so it should go to Luke.
Yeah, looks like Luke is shooting range 1 into my gunship. End up with 2. 3 after spending the force.
You take 1.
And I take 1 damage somehow.
Which gunship's that? That's 286, isn't it?
It must be 286. So that means
No half
no more
points.
points for him because he's already halved.
Yeah. So
I think I don't quite have Luke in my side arc, so I don't have a shot with 286. And then Vizsla shoots into Luke and puts 2 damage onto him, which halves Luke, I believe.
no, Luke's already
Or doesn't
halved.
half Luke. No, Luke's already halved.
Is this
So
the
Luke
one?
has
Do
1
you
health
draw
left.
this one? Is it
Well, I think
13-13?
we draw this one.
14-14 because points. Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
We draw this one. 14-14 because Wedge is just in range 2 of that center one because I think Luke is just out when we measure it later.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's how it ends 14-14. So yeah, it was interesting because I was like, at the time when Volan died for Kanan, I was like, the munitions are gone. The X-wings aren't in the greatest spots. Vizsla's untouched. The gunships are worth bugger all.
Yeah.
And yeah, because I knew I had to get 047 out as far away as possible because he was 1 point off giving up one health away from giving 1 point. So he just had to leave. I knew Vizsla was going to be okay. Wedge, I knew wasn't going to be able to do anything because he was stressed after going for the range 1 shot into Vizsla. And maybe, honestly, I think that was probably Chris's biggest mistake because he already had range 1. And I think he was barrel rolling to get Predator or something.
Yeah.
And I think that was a mistake because it meant in the final turn Wedge couldn't do anything.
Yeah, that's fair. The only thing I picked up on from your side was I still think on that fly past with Kanan, you should have just gone straight, not banked.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because it covers first player. Because if I'm right in thinking you didn't have a shot anyway, did you? So
no, I didn't have a shot anyway.
So
I was just trying vaguely to point the arc back in the direction.
Well, I was just thinking because there's almost no way your back arc wouldn't get the ghost, even if he hard turned, because the only hard turn he can do is a 2 hard because he was stressed. And then you just stop and rotate next turn, and then come in. But yeah, apart from that, because if you'd had that shot, you might have finished the ghost off a round earlier.
Yeah, it's one of those things that was tricky. I was just like, my rationale was I need the ghost to get back into the center, so I just gotta hope I lose first turn.
Yeah, every time you hope you lose first turn, though, it comes back.
I know it was bad, but I was like, I would rather the ghost. I would rather I not shoot with Vizsla this round and be closer to the action next round. And if the ghost moves first, even better.
Fair. Well, the list is doing well then.
Yeah, the list is working. Like I said, it's just. I think I got unlucky that Dirge died to the range 3 from Kanan, but that's just 4v3 dice. He only needs to do 2 damage.
Yeah.
Because Dirge firing that proton cannon, now there's a different game.
Yeah, definitely.
But that is what it is. That's why heightened perception is a thing on Kanan. It lets you do stuff like that.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's all I got to say. Like, this was just a really interesting game, and like for me, it was like, yeah, because my rationale against the ghost, against this sort of Kanan build, just shoot the ghost. It doesn't matter if he has full force. He only really spends it on attack, and he gets it back when I shoot him. So let's just shoot him.
Yeah,
if he's at full force the entire time, it's sort of like hate. Like if you're shooting a hate infiltrator and it has full force anyway, he can't spend enough of it.
Yeah, that's the. I think I've come to that conclusion, like, just pile in on the ghost. Except he's going to get target locks and accept he's going to... Because actually, inevitably, he ends up getting them anyway, and if you leave it too late, you're just not killing the ghost.
Yeah, and, like, case in point here, I lost 2 ships before I killed the ghost. I traded down. But once the ghost was gone, the rest of my ships can actually do damage.
Yeah. Well, on that note, we'd better wrap it up for this week. We'll be back next week. We'll probably trade out one Burnett for another and look at a game Steve and I played.
Yeah.
That's
Is this Madness Fangs?
No, that was a while. I think we've done that one already.
Maybe I don't know. I
Um,
think I liked his fact list.
no, this is
Saying that.
my list that I've been flying Rebels against some B-wings.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, see how that goes.
Yeah.
But on that note, we'll just say see you guys next week.
Yeah, ta ta.